All right, so this is not really a comparison as far as sound quality or anything like that between these four guitars. It's basically a traditional Strat-shaped Fender brand guitar. It's actually a Squire Affinity, but it's a good playing guitar and has all the traditional shapes and sizes and the neck radius and that of a modern Fender Strat. The second is an EVH Wolfgang. Pretty much the standard shape, neck shape of all of them. Third one is a Sterling by Music Man JP60. I have played the Majesty as well, so I can give you some comments on that. And the last one is an Ibanez RG shape, which is kind of the traditional one. The gem is based off of it. Also, the Saber body is the same body, but just rounded off and narrowed up a little bit, but the same overall profile shape. So what I'm looking at with these guitars is basically going to be the shape of the body as far as how they compare as far as size, how they kind of work with being on a strap, sitting down. Also just a few things to note, and then also talk about the neck shape too, because that's a pretty big thing with these. Traditional Fender Strat, there's a reason they've been around forever and they haven't changed that much. Really well thought out design. The placement of the knobs and the switch are really good. The switch stays out of the way. The knobs, you know, whether you like them or not, you got a volume and two tones, even though you can't adjust the tone in the bridge without some sort of modification. Jack placement, some people like this, some people don't. And then your tremolo is a standard single-edged trem. You push down, it loosens the strings, but you can't really pull it up much and tighten the strings like you can with a Floyd or a full floating. Neck shape tends to be very round. Nice chunkiness, nice curve to it. Like I said, this is pretty traditional along all the Fenders. Unless you get something vintage or something special, they all kind of have the same radius of the fretboard, and they have a pretty nice round back to them. So we're going to use that as the base model. One of the things that people don't think about is where this cut is compared to where your picking area is. So if this is sitting on your leg, you know, depending on where you pick compared to that, are you straight up above it? Are you kind of towards the neck? Are you kind of a bridge picker? And that's one of the biggest things I'm going to compare about these guitars, because it really does change how they feel when you're sitting down playing, whether it's in a studio or maybe just more of a mild show, not a rock show. The other thing is the Fender has your traditional nice long upper bout. I've had a ton of Telecasters and also some Gibson SGs and some Les Pauls, and they all have neck dive when you're on a strap like this, and it's because when this is pushed back here, all of a sudden your neck, you got a lot more neck weight hanging that way. It also changes where your picking is too, because if you put on a strap, your front of your strap is here instead of here, so it kicks the guitar forward. So you actually end up picking, instead of picking here, you're picking here. Also with a Gibson Les Paul style guitar, you have a heavy back end, so it tends to want to fall off your lap that direction because the back end's heavy. So you kind of have to balance between it falling off your lap backwards or forwards. And again, this is just my personal feelings about them. I'm not saying it's a bad design or it's wonderful or anything. For me, it doesn't work very well. So when we go from this to, I'm just going to jump right to it, because the Ibanez RG is actually really similar. You got about the same distance of a heel. Your upper bout is about the same length. I mean, it's a little bit more pointed, so you do have a little bit more, but it's close enough. The middle of the cutout is about even with the middle pickup, so that's real close to the fender as well. Big thing with Ibanez though is the neck is very different. This is a Wizard 2 neck, so it's not super flat, but it's pretty narrow, and a real flat fretboard. This is personally my go-to guitar. I've had probably a dozen different RGs, as well as a few vintage ones, a few higher end ones, and I've had a few of the S models, which is the same shape. I've had a Wizard 1, Wizard 2, Wizard 3 necks. For some reason this particular one is always been my favorite. It just plays amazingly. The pickups are even stock, which I think is the only Ibanez I've ever had that I actually kept the stock pickups in. So for some reason this guitar, this specific one, is my go-to. It kind of does everything. Certain guitars I have are better in certain circumstances, but this one overall is just simply, if I was going to pick up one guitar to keep, to tour, to travel, to give demos with, this would be the one guitar I would keep for that alone. It does have a Floyd Rose, so it fully floats both directions, although honestly I never use the trem on this. I have, and it actually stays in tune really well, but I don't use it because I don't play a lot of stuff where I need it. And I also removed the locking nut locks, and it doesn't have locking tuners, but it actually stays in tune really well. So like I said, again, there's something about this specific one that just works for me. So the Fender is your traditional, like that guitar, it feels amazing. This specific RG, or the RG shape even, is probably my favorite go-to. So the next one I'm going to throw in here is this Sterling Music Man. The Music Man Majesty actually has the same body shape, and as you can see, it's really close to the RG. About the same heel length. This doesn't have a Floyd, so you don't have that extra cutout, but this distance from where your pivots are, or your string saddles are, to the end of the guitar is pretty much the same. The height of the guitar is pretty much the same. The upper bout is pretty much the same. Lower bout's a little thicker than the RG for sure. I would say it's more closer to the original Strat. Where this comes is a little farther forward, like the center of this is just closer to the neck slightly. The Majesty I almost bought. The only reason I didn't buy it is because of where they put the switch. That's your pickup selector switch. On the RG, it's definitely more in your traditional Fender Strat position. This one, it's right in the middle of the picking area. I use my pinky and my ring finger basically to anchor a lot of the time. And as you can tell by the brush marks right here from picking, my hand's really close. On the Majesty, it has a very deeply sunken switch,